Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to my channel, The Construction Base. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. So today has been a very busy and I would say slightly successful day. Yeah, today I managed to get my driving license. So, well, it's not been easy. In fact, this is my second attempt at trying to get this license. So the process is quite, I would say it's manageable. It's not difficult, it's just challenging, especially if you've not prepared for it. Like everything else, be it a test, an exam, you prepare for it or you study for it. So similarly, with this, you also have to be prepared for it. You have to practice, you have to know certain techniques, certain strategies to use for you to get that license. So I think I started going to driving school, or I enrolled into driving school I think it was late May. No, not late May, sorry. I think at the beginning of May, that's when I enrolled into driving school. And so when I enrolled into driving school, I chose manual class B, not automatic, because in my head I was thinking to say, well, what if I'm given a big vehicle to drive, especially that, I'm in this industry where there are these vans, manual vehicles in short. So the lessons were going very well. I would say I learned quickly how to drive the manual. It wasn't a challenging thing where I had to struggle a lot. Of course, there were hiccups here and there where you may struggle in terms of balancing, in terms of changing gears, focusing on the road. But of course, those are normal things that people have to go through. But I can't complain. I had very, very good instructors who helped. So now time came for me to get the provisional license. Because before you get your license, you first have to get a provisional license for you to move about on the road. And one of the conditions for having a provisional license is that you cannot drive without somebody who has a driver's license. So if you have a provisional license, it doesn't give you the authority to drive alone without any supervision by somebody who has a driver's license. So the provisional license, yeah, for you to get it, of course, you have to apply. If you're under a school, it's even easier because the school applies for you. They apply for you at the Road Transport and Safety Agency. Then you're called, you are told to write a test. After writing a test, there's a small quiz. Yeah, you have to know all the signs, stop sign, pedestrian sign, yield, stop, all those things. And it's not difficult. It's basically general knowledge. These are things that you may know, things that you are aware of. But of course, when you're put in that situation where you have to sit down and write the test, it might seem challenging, but it is manageable. Yes, so after you get your driver's license, your provisional license, you now continue driving on the road. Yeah. In fact, that's when you should even take driving on the road or practicing driving on the road seriously, because a provisional license is now a sign that very soon you have to now move to a driving license. So yes, practicing. I recall my instructor called me and said, Mr. Chomba, you have 3 days left before you go for testing, or before you go for the practical examination for you to get the driver's license. So I recall I was supposed to when was that? I was supposed to be examined, I think just right after my 3 days are done. But then because I was a bit nervous, I said, no, please push it to the next week. So I remember we pushed it to the next week, and the time came now. or geared up or confident. I remember I practiced for it, passed through all the cons, and said, well, I'm going to pass these exams or these so-called practical examinations. So we arrived at the Road Transport and Safety Agency, practicing site, and of course the first task is you have to first successfully pass through the cones without touching or without coming into contact with any of them. Your vehicle shouldn't hammer any of the cones or or just come into contact. So I managed, of course, because the way it's made is you have the right side, then you have the left side. So it's like you enter and then you go to the right, then you reverse, then you come back. Then next you go to the left, then you reverse and come back without hammering any of the cones. So the first attempt for me was I went to the right, came back properly, reversed, successful. Went to the left, then now when coming back, when reversing, on turning, I forgot to turn the steering completely, the whole 180 degrees or 360 degrees, whatever you may call it. Yes, but I was supposed to turn until the steering reached the end. Now, what I did is I only turned it halfway, and I thought I had turned it up until the end. Then as I was reversing, the vehicle did not turn completely, and I hammered into the cone. It was so frustrating, so depressing, so embarrassing, because it's a thing for whereby you have people around you looking at you. Hey, look at you, that one. There are all these things. But of course, you're encouraged to say, don't focus on them, focus on you, don't panic, don't do all those things. But it's difficult to really keep your cool when you're so disappointed, you fail once. Yeah, that's why they say, okay, failure sometimes it's not the failure that's painful, but it's the emotional reaction you get for failing. That sometimes does, hit very hard, that you just feel like, I wish I never did this. So yes, there were all those mixed emotions. But I said, okay, no, this is doable. It's just a small error, a small mistake. So I was told to come back after 7 days. So next week I said, okay, no, please, my instructor, let's book for another session. So we booked for the session, which was today. So today now, what happened was all geared. In fact, today I didn't even wake up very early, rush to the Road Transport and Safety Agency examination practicing site. No, I didn't even rush, because I knew last time when we went early in the morning, around 8, the time we started doing the practicals was around 10 to 11. So today I was just like, okay, no, let me take my time. It's 9, I'll go at 9:30. So 9:30 reached, that's how I went there, arrived, and my instructor was like, oh, welcome. No, today you're going to do very well, don't worry. Just focus, everything that you learned, apply it here. And that's what happened. I went into the cones, I made sure I did not make the same mistake I made last time. And I passed through the cones, and I said, oh wow, I think I'm going to get my driving license today, no matter what. Because when it came to the road, driving on the road, I had no problem. So after passing through the cones, you now have to go on the road. You have to drive around together with other vehicles in the road for them to see that you're eligible to move about and you're not a danger to anybody or to yourself. So that's how we got into the vehicle now. Of course, this was, I think, about 2 hours, I think 2 hours later, when even my other fellow students who had enrolled in the driving school also joined. So I was in the driving seat. I was told to say, yeah, the one who's going to remove the vehicle outside this site. So just make sure there, as you are coming out, balance it very well. You know, manual, there are all these issues of balancing here and there, but I was just like, no, I can do this. So that's how drove the vehicle out, indicated. In fact, my instructor was so comfortable. He felt at ease. He was not worried to say, oh, this person of yours will hammer into this vehicle, hammer into this. No. Nope. Never worried at all, not even once. So all I was asking is which direction, turned here, turned there, stopped here, indicated, and all he said was, okay, you can stop there. So I stopped, parked. The other student was called next. The other student drove also. Although, you know, she made, I think, a bit of mistakes. But yeah, he called the other one next. The other one was a bit shiverish. She was very, very afraid. She was like, oh. So she moved a little bit. They called the other one next. The other girl, she didn't even start the vehicle, and she was told to say, well, stop, go back. Yeah, it was sad, but it's one of those things. Okay, there are certain basic things I think that you shouldn't forget, especially when you enter a vehicle, such as putting on your seat belt. Yeah, like that's very, very important. In fact, that's one of the first things you should never forget. So yeah, you know, when she sat in front, but I thought she was going to be given another chance. Unfortunately, she didn't. She just sat, turned on the vehicle. As she was changing the gears, and the instructor just said, no, you can go back. The person who started first, please come and drive us back to the practicing site. That's how, because I was the first one. So I went there, drove the vehicle, and that's how we went to the site. And we arrived there, and the instructor the instructor was very straightforward, very upright, didn't beat about the bush. He just said, okay, Stanley, sign here, sign. You also sign here. And the rest, here are your papers. Go through the notes I've written here. Come back after 7 days. And I said, wow, what just happened? So I've qualified, I've made it. I'm getting my license now. Yeah, so that's what happened. That's why I said it was a busy, tiresome, but successful day. So I think that's the thing that's made it successful, because of the license. Yes, so a driving license is very important. And a long time ago, I thought there was no point or there was no need for me to have a license. Because in my head, I reasoned that maybe later on in the future, I'll just have a driver, or I'll be using taxis. Now we have these Ubers. Yeah, and so, but then somebody told me to say, well, it's not just important because you want a job or you're searching for a job. A driving license actually is very important in case of emergencies. Imagine if, let's say, maybe, of course, later on in the future, or maybe your neighbor, they have a health emergency and they have a vehicle. So who's going to drive? And maybe if things get worse and you start living with regret to say, how I wish I knew how to drive. You know, the person could have been saved. And also, maybe you're married, you know, you have a wife that's pregnant and whatnot, and there are all these emergencies that may happen. If you know how to drive, you can ask your neighbor, oh, please, we need your vehicle. I need to rush my wife here. I need to take my daughter here, my son here, all that. And you know, I began to think, okay, this is a very serious thing. Yeah, so I encourage you to get a driving license, drive well, and drive safely, and don't break rules. All right, guys, see ya. Subscribe for more